Welcome to another episode of Business with Passion. Each show features guests who have transformed their long-term passion into a successful business. I'm your host, Jay Hamilton Roth. My marketing strategy business grew from my love of talking with passionate business owners. In this series, I share their passion with you. So if you're looking for inspiration to enhance your business passion, keep watching.
I farm now because I get so excited about what the land can do for me. People have real estate, they do rent. I have land that actually grows food that I can sell. We have a farm that I farm with my parents. We have lived on the farm for I'm 48 years old, so we've been on there for 48 years. We had a dairy for the first 20 years. And I went to Cal Poly for agribusiness school, and the dairy industry in the mid-'80s was suffering drastically. The milk prices were dropping dramatically. The government was offering buyout programs to reduce the surplus of milk in the industry. And that signaled the end for us, only because we had 150 to 200 cows on just pasture land. We didn't own any more land for them. We couldn't go any bigger. So our size was limited by what we owned. And at that time, people were going up to 1,000 head of cows, 1,000 cow dairies, 3,000. And that's how the industry went. They all went, they moved out of the valleys, they moved to New Mexico where the land was cheap, and they started doing all these cow factories. At Cal Poly, I learned the value of food. I learned trees, I learned value-added product. On my senior project, I had lemons. Now, you think lemons, wow, but I made lemonade, I made lemon juice concentrate. At the Student Union, I sold it for exorbitant prices, and it paid for all the cost of harvesting. And it wasn't intended to be a profit plan, but it was beyond cost covering. I was able to actually pay most of my student loans from the sales of lemons to the local Safeway, and mainly lemonade. So at that point, I knew what food can do, not only on a financial, but just on a response that people gave. Like, oh, this tastes really good. And I didn't understand food prior to that, but Cal Poly taught me the soil science, taught me the tree science, taught me a lot of the technical aspects to do that, that my father didn't have. So he was able to take the risk and trust that knowledge in my behalf to work together to create a tree farm. And I think the thing about doing that is the learning curve. For the first 4 years, there's no income, it's just growing trees. We were shipping our fruit to the packers and basically became an employee for the overhead expenses for packing companies. And then my dad finally came up with an idea of saying, hey, look, we need to find another market to do this. And we started going to farmers markets in the Valley, in the Sacramento regions, and in Stockton. I must admit, the Asian community is what really got us our jump start. Their passion for Fuji apples was phenomenal, and it was just starting to explode in the early 80s. And when they started buying our fruit, at that time was 50 cents to $1 a pound, we couldn't bring enough. And so not only did we not even speak the language, we understand how money and food was now then becoming the trade medium for cultures. From that point, we then said, we need to do farmers markets. So we pretty much changed the entire focus of how we grew fruit to grow specifically for customers. My parents are both Dutch immigrants, and my father grew up in a family of 7 in a province called the Beemster in Holland. He was 12 or 13 during the World War II era, and they had a dairy. He grew up and got a college degree in farm advising. When he immigrated over, my dad got a sponsorship to work on a dairy, and from that point, he then worked in a partnership with my mom's family. And then my father, being the Dutch person that he is, said, I'm doing this on my own. He moved out from the Manteca area and now moved to the present-day Linden area, and we built our own dairy. And it was really interesting because the funny thing is that I remember most was farm advisors or people in the area saying, nothing grows out there. It was all rolling rangeland with valley oaks. Nothing was out there. There was tens of thousands of acres of just open rangeland. And my dad goes, no, I think we'll do fine. And I think 35 years later, it's like the second Napa in terms of vineyards. There's tens of thousands of acres of vineyards. Every tree imaginable grown. And so it does quite well. And I sometimes having the vision of living in destitutes or poverty times really kind of creates opportunities for whatever resources you have at the time. And that's something when I look to my mom and dad, is like they were very resourceful for what they had. And I appreciate that to no end. I finally realized why Dutch immigrant families that own dairies have a lot of kids. I'm one of five brothers and 2 sisters. It didn't dawn on me until high school when I decided to become a star athlete because I wanted to avoid working on the ranch at all costs. But the sad part was work was always there. No matter what I did or what I became in terms of sports, I still had to do that. But I must say, in its entirety, it has literally shaped me what I am today. I work hard, I work smart, and that's the whole key and the whole drive, that if you're growing something from hand, the physicalities of growing it, transporting it, communicating with people, and bringing food to people's tables is similar. It's a very physical type of work. But the beauty is, I feel alive when I sell the fruit, when people are happy when they eat the fruit. I eat my own fruit, which makes me feel happy. So from childhood of just eating lots of raw meat, raw milk, runny eggs, and stale bread, it's a big change. And I do appreciate and love the fact that I got to be where I was at the time. I didn't know what it meant for me, but in terms of my energy, I needed pretty much wide open spaces. Had I been or doing something else, I'm not sure I would have been the person that I am today. So for that, I thank my parents. Not at the time, I do thank them now. The passion about farming is having the ability to create. It's the ability to experiment, and it's the ability to create something that you don't know what's going to turn out. Everything is year to year. There are so many factors and variables, and the whole idea of getting people's response in terms of appreciating the food that they eat is fulfillment. It's what literally drives me to find new varieties to see how they work, find new varieties to see how well they hold. All these attempts basically come from customer feedback. I like the fact that it says, hey, why don't you put a Bramley apple in? They're great for cooking. And there's times when I can't even find the rootstock. We did find a couple, so we now have a couple in the ground, and I had that person's name by the tree, and now they have to buy everything that's on the tree. But the whole idea about what drives it is the ability to create food for life. Food is medicine, and medicine is food. It really does work. If people just slowly wrap their head around hunting and gathering at the farmer's market level, which is going to be the closest, the most freshest possible way of getting food to their table immediately, it's going to be that avenue. I'm so excited when physically I get to connect with the land that I work. I get to drive a tractor. I get to turn the soil over. I get to check water. I get to eat and test fruit all day long about ripeness or readiness or quality or size. The idea of being outside, free roaming, wherever I need and want to go. Having really good people in place to do a lot of the nuts and bolts that, frankly, we would not be able to function without. If you don't have a good manager, if you don't have a good second manager, if you don't have a crew that's been with you for 9 to 12 years, none of this is possible. It's very difficult. You can get some things done, but I love the efficiencies of how it works. And because it is so efficient, because it is so smartly run, it makes it that much more enjoyable. Finding value-added products to your already raw commodity is phenomenal. I make cider out of raw commodities. I can dry components. I can dry stuff that I can't sell fresh. I can dry pumps all the time. The end results of all the waste goes to a pig farmer that I can trade out for meat. I pride myself on the fact that we try to get to the point of zero waste. There's so little waste about the food that we grow because we grow specifically for farmers markets. Very little wholesaling, no shipping of any kind, no export of any kind. Everything is literally grown for the local economy. And sometimes that drives you. I'm obsessed by that fact alone. Working on the farm and connecting with people that you sell your products was a driving force. I tend to be gregarious by nature. I love the social contact, the interaction. And one thing that the farmers markets do provide is a source of interaction, knowledge, communication, feedback, and some kind of just simple responses about what they like and what they don't like. And if you spend some time listening to that, and if you grow according to what the shift and needs are of people, you're going to get this long-term relationship effect. I met my current wife at a farmer's market at the San Francisco Ferry Plaza. That was 10 years ago. Our logo, Hidden Star Orchards, which has two egrets looking at an apple, was a painting that she had painted a year prior to me meeting her. So this was really interesting because when I was dating her, I used to call her Egret just as a pet name. And there was, along a stream, there's always a blue heron watching a white egret fish. It says, "Oh, I see you today." So that was just my cute way of talking to her. And then I happened to look through her artwork. She says, "Oh, sure, you can look through it." And then I saw this logo. When we started farming, a lot of it's just kind of taking an experiment, taking a big risk, and seeing where it goes. We realized early on that if we're going to connect with people, that we're going to have to grow a very good commodity. And the reason to switch to organics was twofold. I didn't have a lot of knowledge about it until the fact that when my mom got cancer. And my mom got cancer of lymphoma, which is non-Hodgkin's, which is a cancer of the lymph nodes. And according to a lot of agricultural regions, cancer rates are spiked because of the conventional pesticides and chemicals used. And that absolutely spurred me to completely change how we farmed. My mom is still alive today. It's, I think, 8-9 years in remission. But the whole idea was, it was spurred on by personal issues. And whatever the issues are that spur you, I think it's great. Now when I look back on it, I go, oh, I wish I had done that from the very beginning. There wasn't any farm advisors that were talking about it. There was few people on the fringes that were doing it on their own, but nobody was really communicating about that aspect of it. What we're doing, everything we're doing is certified organic, and that is just social responsibility. It is land stewardship that is an absolutely must for farmers to create for consumers. We work with CCOF out of Santa Cruz. It's so important to at least strive in some way to work towards that goal. That most fruit grown organically can be done organically. Most people that grow conventionally can go organic. There isn't a commodity out there that can't be. I'm hoping that through time that there will be some kind of regulations in farmers markets that require people to move in that direction. I understand people talking about cost associated with that. I don't believe that's an accurate statement. I think that's someone's excuse not to try. There's a lot of government programs out there and grants. There's a current $50 million program available for funding for farmers wanting to convert. So I think if people moved in that direction, I think it's an absolute social responsibility on our part to create that for consumers. If they're going to support us and part of their contributions to land stewardship, that's what we need to do in response to them. Our farm is located about 25 miles northeast of Stockton in the foothills. It's off Highway 88 and Highway 12. One goes to Jackson, the other goes to San Andreas. We're near a town called Clements and Linden. It's in the rolling foothills leading up towards the Sierra Nevadas. We have 160 acres to our name. We grow varieties and commodities. We grow table grapes, and we're the only San Joaquin County table grape growers. We do cherries, we grow blueberries, we grow apples, we grow peaches, we grow nectarines and pluots. We grow a little bit of everything. And the reason why we grow a diverse group of products is because weather being what it is in terms of how global warming is now impacting farming, you have to grow different commodities sometimes to make it through the year. If there is a weather-related issue, a disease-related, a virus-related issue on one commodity, you could stand to lose your entire crop. And now, granted, we have other things that we can do with the product if it doesn't really meet those kinds of eating standards. It's still a good idea to diverse. If you came on, we have now about 90 acres in production, and every year we pull things out, we add different things. We are reducing the stone fruit crops that we grow. It's not our specialty. And one thing is that you sit down and you really have these heart-to-hearts with your parents sometimes, and you tell them you just have to say you can't be good at everything. It's impossible to know everything there is to farming in terms of tree fruit. It's just too much information. So the commodities that we grow when you come onto our farm are commodities that are inspired for farmers markets. And those are commodities that, when harvested or when picked, have this amazing holding capacity. Their storage capacity is what lends itself to do so well in the markets. So the Pink Lady varieties, which are harvested in late November, the Yakata Fujis, which is a Japanese apple, will store for 4 to 6 months in 32 degrees. These are apples and varieties that we grow to keep us at the markets and to have such a huge commodity amount to provide for people. We have different kinds. We have Gravestines, we've got Pink Pearls, we have Summer Rose, we have Honey Crisp. So we have some antique varieties, we have some newer varieties, and these are all different varieties to span mid-July when the galas come out to almost mid-May when the Yakata Fujis and the Pink Ladies finish up. You know, and a lot of these varieties are inspired also from people, from taste tests. I go to other farms, I go to other states, I look at new varieties that are coming out, and I find out which is going to do well over the course of time. Not what tastes good and only has a 1-week shelf life. It's not going to work. The table grapes that we grow, Crimson. We grow a little bit of Thompsons, but the new Thompson is called the Princess, which is beautiful green grape. The Flames, Autumn Royals, Summer Royals, all varieties that do really well at farmers markets. Peaches and nectarines, there's 35 to 40 of them, you know, so numerous to name, but each one every week is ripe. All of these varieties that are designed to harvest, ripen, and be delivered to farmers markets on certain weeks. In between the dairy industry and the tree fruit farming, that we ran a boys' home. And I ran it for 10 years with my mom. And basically it was kids from broken homes and very, very down and out. They lived at the ranch, and we did it for 10 years. And we took these kids to the farmers markets. We taught them, or they taught themselves, on social skills, how to communicate to people, weights and measures, how to have eye contact, how to count change, how to run a business plan, how to do measuring. It was stunning to have kids that emancipated from the program at 18 years old leave with $5,000 to $6,000 in their pocket. It was so satisfying. I knew that was going to be the role model. And so what it's done for my family with the 3 kids that I have, my oldest son Peter is 17, my daughter's 13, and then my youngest son Orion is 8. It teaches them the value of life. It teaches them that you work the land, you bring it to market, you connect with the people sincerely, honestly, and openly, and you earn an income. And just to even extrapolate on that, our farm alone supports my brother's family, another brother's family, my parents, my manager's family, her family, and all of my 9 full-time worker families. I mean, for such a small farm, it has so much support for so many people. And so in terms of the value of life, it's a very simple, but a very rewarding way of life at the farmers markets. The markets that I chose kind of chose themselves. They kind of chose me. You tend to gravitate towards regions that are supportive of organic farming, supportive of the type of fruit that you grow that's of good quality. The markets that I participate in are the San Francisco, the Berkeley, and the Marin County farmers markets. The people in Northern California are absolutely amazing. They are so supportive of this type of small industry that it's they who keep this industry alive. For small farmers growing fruit, it is now probably the only avenue left to create a sustainable living, sustainable farming, and to create this really good piece between good organic fruit and people. This is the last remaining avenue that we have, and I'm really, really thankful for those people that do come to a farmer's market, that do support the farmer's market. Even if it is that they buy someone else's commodity or someone else's fruit, I'm just thankful that they do come on a regular basis. And it kind of works both ways. They come, they get to ask questions about what farming is. It's their way of having their own land stewardship. They get to work with me in terms of what I do and bring it back for them. So there's a real partnership in what goes on. It's just not me growing it just for them and blah, blah, blah. They get to come back and ask questions, and if they want to get a tree or if they want to grow something, then we can give them advice to how to do that. Because my goal is to have everyone connected from beginning to end on how that fruit grows, because it's a little bit more difficult than some people might imagine in terms of how do you get at that? How do you take care of worms? How do you take care of fire blight or codling moth? And all those things that I provide as answers that they get to try is just as rewarding as them supporting my product by buying it. I've been able to keep my prices pretty steady for the last 3 years without raising anything. They've all been pretty much the same, and that is due to recycling boxes. Farmers that want to throw away boxes, I will pick them up by the hundreds. We've recycled tomato boxes. We've had truck and trailers pick them up out of San Jose just so we can reduce cost. An apple box is $2.50. And I tried to reuse those boxes at least 10 to 20 times. So the whole idea is, in the future, is work slowly in terms of size. If you want to grow a new product, don't put in 20 acres, just put in 5. See how that goes, see how it produces, look at the response that people give to you, then add a little bit more. So it's not getting too far ahead of what you do, and knowing that markets change and fluctuate. It's not about doing hundreds of markets. It's just about doing the markets really well that you currently are doing. And that's why I stay in this region here. The customers are very supportive. We grow a really good product. Keep it simple. Malcolm Blackwell wrote a book called Outliers, and it's a book which in my opinion talks about passion. That if you have enough passion and you do it long enough, chances are you'll be really good at what you do. And I think that really holds true to farming, any kind of work that anybody does. It will show in the work that you do if you have passion. It comes through. You can't hide it. It just comes out. And the passion is a huge motivator. If you're driven by what is good, it's like karma. Good comes back. And I find that to be really true in farming. That even though global warming and weather and all these variables and diseases and pests, is like some way, somehow, we'll figure out a way on how to still produce good fruit. It may not be a high yield, but we'll figure out a way. And so I think if you have passion, I always believe that something good will come out of that. I love the simplicity of farming. Even the helter-skelter times, because it's temporary. It's not forever. But the whole idea of being able to kind of roam, free, like nomads. You pick it, you harvest it, you travel, you bring it to a location, you sell it, you connect with people, and then you kind of roam back. And that kind of free-flowing kind of fits with my personality. I can't be tied down, I can't be really caged in, and it just seems to flow, which makes me happy.
Thanks for watching this episode of Business with Passion. If you'd like more information about Johann Smit, other shows, or perhaps to be a guest on a future show, go online to tv.manygoodideas.com.